Let's go ahead and just rip this band-aid off. I have been waiting to do this video because right now at this time of the year, more people are tending to list their homes right now and there are more buyers out on the market. If you're selling a house right here in South Carolina, this video may be the most helpful and most important thing you're going to hear all year, because I'm going to tell you the stuff most agents are too scared to say out loud. See, sellers always say they want feedback, but no, they don't. They want a compliment. They want you to come in and say, we're going to walk through your house. It's the perfect house. I love it. And yes, I'm actually going to give you over asking price, and we'll even do it as is. No questions asked. Let's close in 15 days. So today what I want to do is bridge that gap. I'm going to give you 10 brutally honest truths straight from the front lines of South Carolina, even more specifically the Columbia, South Carolina market. Stuff buyers actually think, the stuff sellers need to hear, and the stuff that can cost you real money if you ignore it. And hold on to the end, because this video is not just for sellers. I'm going to do it on the flip side too, and I'm going to give you buyer's word on this. What's up, guys? My name's Chad Dorman, and I'm the local realtor right here in Columbia, South Carolina with eXp Realty. And I help people buy and sell homes right here in the Midlands and even all over South Carolina, all over the nation when it comes to referrals, and I hook people up with referrals. That's the beauty of having eXp as my brokerage. They're one of the biggest in the nation and did more sales last year than any other brokerage in the world. And if you've been around this channel for a while, you already know how I do this. I'm not here to tell you what sounds nice. I'm here to tell you what actually works. And if you're a buyer watching this is going to help you too, because the better you understand how sellers think, the better you're going to be at spotting value. So do me a favor before we jump in. Please, if you're new to the channel, go ahead and hit subscribe. I'm trying to get as many subscribers on the channel as I can so I can help even more people. And if you're getting ready to move right here to Columbia or the Midlands, there's a link on my banner. It's in the description below. Go ahead and set up a Zoom call with me so I can talk to you face to face. Or better yet, I have a lot of you guys that just pick up the phone and call, or shoot me a text message. We're going to go ahead and we're going to start with the first one, and we're coming in hot because this is one of the worst. All right, number one. This is the one nobody wants to hear, but everybody needs to hear. Your home has a smell. And I don't care how clean you are. I don't care if you don't notice anything. Exactly. That's the problem. You live there. Your nose blind. Whereas you walk in, you do not smell certain things, but everybody else that does walk into your house smells something. And in South Carolina, especially in Midlands, humidity doesn't just exist. It amplifies everything. If it's 90 degrees outside, it was 80 just yesterday and we're in March, and the air's thick, the smells hit harder. Pet odor, it hits harder. Litter boxes, they hit harder. Heavy cooking smells from when you're cooking, they hang around longer. The moisture smell that's in a crawl space or even in older carpet, buyers do notice. Even when I'm doing videos for buyers that are out of state, I will tell them on video what it smells like. Many of them it's okay in the house, and I walk in the garage and there's a very musty smell. And here's the brutal truth. When buyers smell something that's off, they don't think, oh, that's no big deal. What else have they stopped noticing? That's how a smell turns into a trust problem. So yes, scoop the litter box every single day. Don't cook something that is heavy and spicy the night before a showing. And if the pet has gotten into the carpet, you need to go ahead and get the carpet replaced. The smell lives in the pad and the carpet, and that becomes a replacement issue, not a candle issue. Many people, they try to hide some of these smells by putting deodorizers throughout the house. When it mixes with the smell, sometimes it can be worse. Now, sometimes it can help, but you don't want it overpowering, because then they're thinking you're trying to hide something. Here's the word. If you smell something, don't just assume it's a normal house smell. Start asking the better questions. Is there pet damage, moisture, mold, bad ventilation? You may want to know the why. And in some cases, you may want to go ahead and get a home inspection before you list it. Okay, number two, you love your stuff. Listen, I get it. You've got a porcelain doll collection. You've got a knife collection. You've got a precious moments collection. The family gallery wall. the deer head, the antique china cabinet, the themed bathroom that looked like a good idea in 2009, it all means something to you. But buyers are not touring your memories. They're trying to picture their life. And when your personality takes over the room, the buyer stops seeing the room. They may see one of your collections and really love the collection, but now they're not looking at the house. You want to make your house as neutral as you possibly can make it. And sometimes that means I've walked into so many houses that every room in the house has a different color. Some people may like that, but most people want it more like a hotel. They want it neutral. They want to be able to walk through it and picture what they can do in there. You think your decor makes the house feel warm and unique. The buyer thinks, why am I spending so much time looking at this stuff rather than noticing the square footage? The goal is not to make your home feel empty and sad. The goal is to make it feel like a really, really clean, expensive hotel. Calm, neutral, simple, and makes it easy for someone else to mentally move in. Not see your house. You want them to see their house. Now, if the buyer walks out talking about your collectibles instead of your layout, the home's probably lost and it's already done. And buyers, this does work both ways. If the house is full of loud personality, try to mentally strip it down. Use your imagination and picture what it could be. Sometimes a good house is hiding behind too much of the seller's own energy, but you may miss out on an incredible house you will be looking for after you've looked 10 homes down the line and it was all in the first home you looked at. All right, let me tell you something that sellers tend to do all the time. They think clutter just means the home looks a little messy. Clutter can mean a lot of things, and sometimes it even screams, this house is too small, because the buyer lacks the imagination or doesn't want to take the time to look at what it could be like with them. When buyers see a packed mudroom, an overflowing pantry, jammed closets, a garage that can't fit the car that's supposed to fit in there, or a laundry room that looks more like a storage unit exploded, they don't think these people have a lot of stuff. They think, this house cannot handle my life. It can't handle theirs. That's a huge difference. In Columbia, where you've got a lot of traditional homes, bungalows, you've got older neighborhoods, and even some newer homes where storage can vary, this matters big time. Buyers are watching for function. If every storage space is overflowing, they assume the house lacks storage. Automatically assume stuff quickly. They just process it and go. And that's why I tell sellers, you need to reduce your visible stuff by 30 to 40%. Now that sounds dramatic until you realize you're not decorating for yourself anymore. You're staging for maximum money. I do another video about downsizing. Don't start moving your stuff. Start doing it early. Go ahead, get you a storage unit. Most of them are all month to month anyway. It will not take that much per month for a few months, and start moving a lot of that stuff out of there. It will make the biggest difference in how sellers and how buyers see things, because they're opening closets, they're taking stuff out, they're opening drawers, they're opening the pantry. They see a lot of this stuff. The biggest thing, sell the extra couch that you hate, box up the extra junk, move half the closet out. You're moving anyway, just start it a little bit early. And if you have to do it that way, designate one room and put all the stuff in there. Now, I did see one recently that they did have a lot of stuff and it was done beautifully because the wife is just that organized. And even when you opened the closets, you had something that pulled out in different compartments. Everything was organized. That will actually make people want the house even more. But this does matter. Number 4, buyers judge the invisible by the visible. This one's huge. If I walk up to a house and the doorbell's broken, light bulbs burn out, front step's dirty, and there's cobwebs hanging off the front porch, I immediately start to wonder, well, did they ignore the HVAC too? Did they skip servicing the water heater? Did they ever deal with the roof? What else have they neglected that I can't see? This is just how buyers think a lot of times. They judge the invisible by the visible. Broken doorbell is not a $20 issue in their mind. It's a signal. It makes them nervous. It tells them the owners may have been casual about maintenance. And dirt's a choice. The house should be clean. Clean the baseboards. People look at this stuff. Sweep and mop. Make sure all surfaces are clean in the kitchen. A dated house can still sell beautifully if it's cleaned and cared for. A dirty house, It just feels like work when you walk in. And buyers, let me tell you, they're allergic to work. And while I'm here, many houses when you walk in, look for them. There may be cameras in there. A lot of sellers will disclose a lot of this, but make sure of what you're saying when you're in somebody's house too. Discussions, negotiations, make sure if you're on camera, you realize this when you walk in, you and your agent. All right, number 5. What I want you to realize is buyers are mentally turning every single flaw that they see into an invoice. And this is one of the biggest disconnects between sellers and buyers. A seller looks at a chipped baseboard, a dated light fixture, scuffed paint, or even an older bathroom, and they think, that's little stuff. They can fix that, is what the seller's looking at. The buyer does not see the little stuff. The buyer sees time, money, hassle, contractors, and one more thing to have to deal with after they close instead of walking into a turnkey house. So while you're thinking it's not that big of a deal, the buyer's brain is doing subtraction. And they're mentally writing invoices for every single issue they see. And I promise you, they are overestimating the cost. That means the flaw is not costing you the real repair number. It's costing you the buyer's fear number. And the fear number is always higher. So yes, a bunch of small little issues, it can quietly chip away at your equity because buyers are adding them up and then rounding up for the pain and suffering that they have to do in order to do all this stuff. More of my people that I'm dealing with, my buyers that are coming in off my channel, over half of them are going with new builds now. And it's because they're tired of walking in resales that don't look like new builds. You've got to make sure that your house is immaculate, especially if you're going up against new builds. Now, buyers, your side of this, don't let the cosmetic stuff distract you from the bigger fundamentals. But also, don't be naive about the cost of deferred maintenance. There is a balance to this. All right, number 6. A lot of times there's a big generational work gap. And what I mean by that is a seller who's lived in a home for 12 to 15 years looks at their kitchen and they say, it's fine, redid it 15 years ago. A younger buyer walks in and they may say, this kitchen is ancient. I want a more updated kitchen. And they walk out right there. That's the disconnect. And it's not because one side's crazy. It's because they're measuring the house differently. And they're comparing it to new builds, to granite countertops, cabinets, and drawers that are slam-proof these days. The seller's measuring it by usefulness. The buyer's measuring it by the future workload. A seller sees that rug is only a few years old. A young buyer sees flooring they'll have to rip out. A seller sees cabinets that still work perfectly. A young buyer sees $50,000 to $100,000 project that they don't have the time, cash, or the patience for. That's the why. Life is busier now. People are stretched. A lot of buyers are working, they're raising kids, they're managing schedules, and they don't want to move into a house that is a project, even a manageable one. They want a house that lets them breathe. Sellers, you need to understand that you're fine may feel like a huge burden to a buyer. And buyers, you need to understand not every dated room is a disaster. Sometimes it's just a house that works perfectly and it doesn't happen to match the 2026 Instagram model. All right, now some of this may be repetitive. I know I did like a month or so ago a seller's video also. I probably do more buyers videos and things about Columbia than I do sellers videos. This one may be a little repetitive, but it's true. And it gets people heated. The market does not care what you need to net. It does not care what your neighbor got at the peak of selling houses. And it definitely doesn't care how much you loved raising your kids in that house. The buyers are saying this house feels small. And what they're actually meaning is not that it's too small. What they mean is it's too expensive for what I'm getting. That's the real translation. Buyers know how to compare price per square foot. They've been online for weeks. They've been stalking Zillow, Redfin, Realtor, Homes, and probably your old listing photos from 2017, just seeing what you really did change in the house. So if you overprice, they don't walk in and respectfully disagree. They just don't come. Guys, if you're not getting views, if people aren't coming, then the price is off. Buyers only going to give you what they think it's worth. That's what you're going to get for the house. And so if you overprice it, sellers sit around wondering why they're not getting showings when the answer's simple. The number's wrong. Price is not therapy, it's actual strategy. And 9 times out of 10, if it's not getting views, if you're not getting contracts, it's because it's overpriced. A house is only worth, again, what a buyer's going to pay for it, period. Now, this one's actually a little bit funny. Number 8. Listen, hear me. Get out of the house. I know you want to tell them everything about the house, but do not sit in the kitchen. Do not hang around in the garage. Do not just be here in case they have questions. Do not try to be charming. You being there makes everything weird. They want to walk through the house that they're possibly going to buy by themselves. It makes it awkward if the seller's there. You want to get out. Buyers cannot imagine themselves living in a home when the actual owner is standing there, folding towels, making eye contact, and explaining where you got the backsplash. It kills the emotional process, and buying is emotional. That's the whole game. They got to walk in, and they've got to know, this is the house that I want. Which I'm going to my next thing, it's done quickly. People need to move through the house freely, though. They need to whisper to each other, point things out, disagree, mentally place themselves right there in the house. They will not do that, honestly, if you were in the room. And while we're on it, trying to meet the buyer before closing usually sounds better than it actually goes. Most of the time, it just creates awkwardness or friction. Let the transaction breathe. That's why your agents are dealing the negotiations and all that, not the buyer and the seller. Buyer, same thing for you. If the seller's there and the vibe is weird, you are not crazy. That does affect how the house feels. Now, truth number 9. This is the hardest truth for logical people to accept. Buyers decide how they feel about a house almost immediately. Before they measured the bedroom, before they looked at the roof age, even before they look at the HVAC a lot of times. If they're viewing the house, before they even admire your soft close cabinets, they feel it first. It's just a feeling. It's a gut feeling. When you go into a store and you see exactly what you want, the exact pattern, women, the exact color, the exact way it feels, you know it. You want it. That first 15 to 20 seconds, walking up, opening the door, smelling the air, seeing the light, feeling the energy, that's where the emotional verdict starts happening. And once a buyer gets a bad feeling, no matter what they see, that's what this video is about. When they get that bad feeling, logic almost never rescues the house. You can stand there all day explaining the renovation was done 13 years ago. The HVAC is newer. The backyard's bigger than average. But if the house felt off right in the opening moments, they're already backing away emotionally. That's why curb appeal does matter. Smell matters. Light, natural light, it matters. And not natural light beer. Clean does matter. The first impression is not extra credit. It's the entry fee. Now, this last one is probably one of the most important things a seller can do. Homeowner bias is an actual thing, and you need to break it. Listen, I'm going to tell you how to do that. First, I did a video. Go find it. It's how to spot a bad house in 60 seconds. Go watch it. This is how a buyer should walk through and what they should be looking for as they look through the whole house. Now, once you've done that, you're going to know exactly what I'm going to tell you to do. You have bias. You lived there. You adapted. You stopped seeing the flaws a long time ago in your house. Your eye glides right past the pollen stains, the red clay splash up on the siding, the chipped paint on the trim, the worn threshold, the roof streaking, old caulk, the dent in the wall from 2016. Because to you, that's just home. To a buyer, that's a series of question marks. So here's what I want you to do. I want you to go out in front of your house. After watching this video of mine, go out in front of your house. Look at the house. Look at all these things that I look at when I go into a house. And I want you to get you a clipboard and a piece of paper, or talk through a recording or video message as you're doing it. If you won't, call me. I'll send you one of the ones that I've walked through like this, and walk through it at the buyer's perspective, not your perspective. Look at the landscaping, look at the siding, look at the roof, look at the pollen, look at the front door, look at the hardware. Then walk slowly to the front door. Notice every little chip, cobweb, every bit of debris, every place the paint stopped being crisp. Then do the walkthrough like a buyer who just got approved for a giant loan and they're about to spend a whole lot of money, mainly on your house. And you tell me, buyers, do your own version of this too. Like I said, go in, look at that video. I have a company that I use all the time. They're called Homestretch. I can get out and give you quotes within 24 hours. And they will have you, they'll come look at it, get to your house within 24 hours. They have quotes. John Mood's the owner of the one here in Columbia. He does a super job. Had heard great stories with them, and they, most of the time, they can complete the work. Even bigger jobs like replacing flooring, carpet, redoing a bathroom, replacing countertops. They can do it inside a couple weeks at the worst, and you can finance it. You get the house looking great with it. You're paying per month. When you close, you pay off the loan. It is beautiful and it works great. Now for the buyers, because I told you I'd come back to you, everything I just said about sellers, that's useful for you too. Because if you understand where the seller's blind, you gain leverage. If you can smell what they can't smell, if you can see the maintenance they've normalized, if you can recognize the overpricing disguised as sentimental value and become a sharper buyer. That doesn't mean to be mean, it means to be smart. And go in, look at that video where I walk through doing this stuff. But then I also want to tell you, use your imagination. Because there's a few things that you can get done fairly quick and even have the seller pay for and have an invoice written at closing, have the work done within a week before you move in. If you don't look at it this way, you may miss out on a house that you never knew was the perfect house for you. So here's the truth, guys. Selling for top dollar here in South Carolina is not about hoping buyers get it. It's about eliminating friction, controlling perception, and making the home feel easy to love. And buying smart, it's not about falling for pretty staging and nice photos. It's about seeing the truth underneath the presentation. If you're a seller and this video made you a little uncomfortable, good. That probably means it helped. If you're a buyer and this gave you a better lens for what you're walking into, even better. Like I said, go check that video I did, how to spot a bad house in 60 seconds. Now do me a favor, if all this helped you, please share it with somebody that it can help to. Get this out to even more people so it can help them moving, buying or selling anywhere in the United States. I do referrals. You wouldn't believe the amount of referrals I do and people tell me thank you afterward because I found them such a great agent. Give me a thumbs up, hit like if this video helped you, subscribe to Living in Columbia. More people can see it, I can spread it, I can help more people. And drop me a comment. Are you watching again as a buyer or a seller? What'd you think of the video? I really want to know your true opinion. Just like a seller doesn't want to know, I want to know. And listen, if you want the actual roadmap for this, don't guess. Use the link in the description below and reach out to me. Let's do a Zoom call. Let's talk. If you need top producing agent in the Midlands who will tell you the truth, it's just what you want to hear. That's exactly what we do right here. And if you want the actual seller strategy, staging tips, paint colors that can help you win, again, call me. I've got information that I can turn you on to. We got you, so go ahead, reach out today.